terminate it from the beginning because it's weird how YouTube will allow y'all to flag my channel the way that you do. Yet and still, I just got my $75 check, which the prices I get paid vary. But for being an insider for YouTube and Google, I get paid from them both for doing inside work. Yet they continue to allow you haters to flag my videos. And that actually tells me, so this entire video was flagged. Interesting. So they took it down. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. Clearly, I know what I'm talking about. Let's start there. Clearly. I didn't see these comments here. But now I'm seeing them pop up. Okay. So, here's what I'm going to do. Because I'm not going to start this over just for it to be flagged. I'm going to put it on TikTok. And then I'm going to upload it from there eventually. But if y'all want to follow along, come over to my TikTok. If you, yeah, because they took the entire live down, which is crazy. Which is crazy. Which is crazy. Which is crazy because I do inside work for YouTube and Google. Okay, just got paid. And not from my YouTube channel. But they don't like my content. They don't like what I talk about when I do talk. They don't like what I say. But you pay me to be a researcher and advisor. Make that make sense. Then you get the same haters coming in here. They sit on their hands and wait for me to go live. You just said that in the last live. It was just under a different account. Same narrative. I can show y'all receipts how I just got paid from Google Research Team. But when I speak, you want to silence me. Mm, mm. It can't be that deep. Or is it? Is it? Hey, Justin. I'm glad you're here. Maybe you can hit the like and That one like might keep the stream up because I literally just got not all halfway through, but I- this is this is so annoying. It's always been this way, right? YouTube and Google will, and it's also the alphabet company will literally proposition and beg, and I do mean beg. I got the emails to back it up for me to do inside work for them all the time, and I decline a lot because I'm not really trying to put all that time and energy in. Whenever I try to speak, you want to silence me. That's what sometimes I come on here and I just cut up, go ham, or say what go off on somebody like I just did on my other video. I see that one is still up because it's just drama and controversy at the end of the day, right? I'm not really saying anything that could matter in a grand scheme of things. You're afraid that people will actually listen to me, which is weird because I don't have an audience really. All these years, still don't. But what I do have is trolls that lie in wait for me to go live, and they come in. You do the same thing on TikTok. Yet TikTok is relentless. Okay, I got stories and shit that I didn't even ask for. That they're always, I got brands always wanting me to represent them and wanting to send me shit. And I just stop all that across the board because you want me to do these things for you, but I can't never speak. And I don't come on here live. I don't. But when I do, I'm trolled. My lives are constantly shut down. They're deleted, like the one that was just deleted. Why is it deleted? Because at the end of the day, they're going with this BS narrative and not really telling the truth. Because why? What is the ultimate agenda behind that? You want people, because ultimately, it is really a problem when we allow this indulgence to go too far and to be so clouded into it that you're actually overlooking the dangers of it all. Because you can create more David behind David, right? So easily. There's people that still adore and admire him and what he did to this day, even though they're not actually saying it or actually flat out saying it, they do. And it's diminished. You know, why is it seeming like the prosecution is wanting to separate really what he did from his movie? You put out songs on Young Thug that actually really didn't fly in court. You barely got to use Murder on My Mind against Lion Melly. And he's accused of beating his friends. Um, being that someone who's in his crime, someone who is in criminal justice, just happens to be a sector that I'm in heavily, along with many other sectors. I look into YML's story, and YML been obsessed with murdering someone since he was a child. It was inevitable. And that's an understatement. There's a clear documentary out there that by itself can show this, right? Everybody. But when it comes to David, for some reason, y'all want to say he wants to um delete Celeste to keep her from telling about their relationship when everybody who knew them knew about their relationship. They know. Everyone around them knew. His fans knew. It was completely depicted in his music. Okay, I took the time to write this, so I'm gonna get it out. I would actually go on TikTok and just do this simultaneously, or even Instagram, if I had yet another device. And the next time I go home, I am going to bring my laptop. At first, I didn't want to, because damn, I had got my sewing machine here, right? Okay. But yeah, I am, because I'm reading this from the document which I created, so I can't do both. But I will next. Okay, I will next, because I'm a truck driver, so it's kind of like my second home. I'm in the truck. I'm in the truck. All right. Whoa. Let me save this. I accidentally opened TikTok and it's something that is crazy. Oh, y'all, I'm just getting started, because when YouTube does shit like this, I do one of two things. I just be like, okay, forget it, and I just stop posting for a while because it gets annoying. And sometimes that just makes me want to speak about other things that I actually don't speak about enough, and I should. So I'll make time, and of course, if I'm doing this, I'm sacrificing something, because I could be out in the sun. It's really beautiful here, getting so much needed exercise. But I'm actually waiting for my 21-year-old son. Woo, so excited to finish work. I'm in my home state, and I'm gonna see my baby. Okay, I'm gonna see my baby. Looks like it's actually gonna happen. Looks like he actually gonna get off work around the time he's supposed to get off work. So he getting to him. So, uh, go see my baby. Right? Who is it? Huge. Huge. Look at so my baby. Man, listen, you can't piss me off this morning. You can't. Y'all can't stop that. You can't stop that. Anywho. So let's take this from the top. Now, y'all delete my video this time and see what happens. Okay. In fact, the next time you hit me up for some inside work or some research or something, we're gonna have to talk about upping that price. We're gonna have to talk about upping that price. Let me see. What did I do with the last check I got from them last week? Oh, I got this projector. I got the projector. You pay for my projector, my mini projector, right? So I can't. The ones I have at home, those are too big, right? So I got a mini projector so I can project my patterns. All right, I'm gonna do content on that, but I gotta get it all together and get it figured out. But I can project my patterns onto the board, onto the fabric, so I don't need a printer. I don't have to print them out, tape them together. I can just project it on there. It's a whole science thing, a lot of work and a lot of learning and stuff like that. But yeah, I can hang my projector up. I can still watch, YouTube and all that other stuff on there too, projecting anywhere. But it's mainly for me to project my patterns, so I can just cut it on fabric and sew it. So thanks, Google, because this actually was actually Google. Google. Now, do we need to get into what I actually do for y'all? But you don't want me talking unless I'm doing some of that stuff you be sending me to do, promoting brands and stuff like that. Yeah. But if I can get a little check here and there, I mean, I got a projector. I got a projector. I didn't have to come out of my salary for it. It's a projector. You know, could have sent it to my baby boy. Bought me some shoes. Some dresses. Anything I wanted to do. Yet I can't speak on you. See, I was ignoring the trolls and I was just keeping it on the content. But YouTube wanted to, I wrote it down so I can just get right through it. But YouTube allowed my video to get struck. You said, I don't get what took them so long. There was so much evidence out in the open. And that's part of what I'm talking about. And it's like they want to paint this narrative from what I'm seeing from the court. I mean, if they go in a different direction, okay. But I don't see them going in that direction because it should have been there already. So it's like, to me, you know, this was so clear. This was so clear. And it's like, y'all want to say he deleted her so that she wouldn't tell nobody. Cut it out. Why? There's a reason why they would have this narrative. And I just know this from the things that I know, the things that I researched and the things that I've experienced, right? It's very very beneficial for them to allow this type of narrative, which is really dumbing down the people who accept it because you can't be serious. You can't be serious. Now, let's start from the top. So this case surfaced, right? And it has details that paint this terrifying reality. So I'm gonna zoom through this a little bit. So while the details of this crime were already enough, the reason they believe he did it is supposed to be the worst yet, right? But I don't think that they're the correct reason. They claim he did it for the benefit of his music career, which we can agree with that. But it's much deeper than that, in my opinion. Now, the reason why is actually the missing piece to understanding why all of this could have happened. And that's with any type of crime, right? And David's music career seems to hold all the answers. All the answers. So let's uncover this. Now, exactly how his alleged crime could have been connected to the success in the industry. And let me find out anything else because I'm actually starting to freeze now. For real though, because it's doing its job. I would say he kicked like that, but I can't even get that straight for a winner because once it cools off, it cools off. Okay. I guess they wanted to perfect their prosecution, so they had no chance to defend. But damn, that was like 4 months. Actually, I don't see it as them perfecting it. To perfect it, to me, is to just tell the truth. It's so much more evidence that leads right to it because he literally tells on himself. Okay. So by the end of this video, you'll likely come to the same realization that I did. He wanted to be caught. Absolutely, right? Okay, prosecutors revealed how they believe that David did it, what weapons he actually used, and how he proceeded to dispose of her afterwards, yet he didn't complete the mission. To me, that is such a telltale right there, right? Oh, he's slow. He's slow. Now, I see people do videos on David, just a little sidebar, and they say, oh, he wants to sound so blah, blah, blah. And he thinks he's smarter than everybody. He thinks he's this and that. I mean, I'm not necessarily a fan of his music, but I think that that has a lot to do with knowing what it's about already. So it doesn't give me, it does, I don't, I can't, it's, I'm biased already because I know what you're talking about. I probably wouldn't like it anyway because I'm not gonna enjoy music about killing somebody that I was romantic with or whatever, whatever. That shit doesn't do it for me. Dark and gore and shit like that, goth, whatever. Been there, done that. Can enjoy it, but I don't indulge in like that type. Like I'm not gonna just be fantasizing about taking people out of here. Be careful what you link your thoughts to. Just be careful, especially nowadays. All right. Um. Okay. These are truly dark and disturbing details that make this more horrific, right? Especially when you realize that he was practically showing us a play by play of what he allegedly did in all his music videos, which, like I told y'all, I literally just watched today. And I haven't watched all of them, but I've seen enough to know. Before that, I really didn't want to get into it because I'm like, mm, mm-mm. And then I didn't actually think that his entire discography was about him and Celeste to this level. I'm like, people saying, oh, this looks like her. Oh, that's a lookalike. Oh, he wasn't. The police, the prosecution say, oh, he wasn't trying to clone her, per se. Hmm. If I had watched it earlier, I would have been like, yeah, what I'm thinking is actually correct, but a little bit more sinister, actually, that they are, and it's even more sinister that they aren't even going. They're saying she was trying to just uh, expose their relationship. It's just crazy when you realize that he was practically showing us a play-by-play of what he allegedly did in all his music videos. Now, everybody who was his fan, everybody who's already seen these videos, already knew this. I literally did not know that. His video for romantic homicide, it looks differently after what's been alleged. That's actually the only one that I watched because everybody was talking about it. And then when I watched it, I was like, but this is at the beginning. And this is before we knew all the details. This is before they was even saying that he was the one who did it. It was just, oh, we found her in his car. We don't know. And then people's like, oh, his song, romantic homicide, is pretty bad. And I'm like, it looks like he was really living that life, but I don't know. It looks like it could be about her, but could this be a coincidence? Like, I really didn't go any further than that with his music. So many believe that this video is unassociated with his crime. There are people who are actually his fans, and they are still saying to this day they don't necessarily believe it's about Black. I think a lot of them may be young too, because they are actually, amen, trying to say, oh, this girl doesn't really look like Celeste, and that wasn't her in that live stream, stuff like that. They really don't want to, and they're trying to downplay it, or they do, and they're just working for the other team, and they're just showing and being bots. I don't know. But they believe that because it came out before it happened, and the timeline is released by the prosecution, and it actually disproves that, doesn't it? Yeah, because the prosecution's timeline confirmed that this song and music video was in fact about his relationship with her, if you really take a look at it. Now, it's believed that David met Celeste back in January of 2022. His music video for Romantic Homicide was released in September of 2022. If I get anything wrong here, y'all, because I did this really fast today, uh, just let me know. Um, but that was about 8 months after they began talking. Now, by now, we all know that he included a Celeste lookalike in that video. In the music video, she meets her demise at the hands of Jesus. It's not just that video either. He wrote the song entirely after he first crossed paths with her. Public records show that he wrote the track in July of 2022. Now, that's exactly what, 6 months after their alleged initial meeting. Now, this happens to be the exact song that eventually blew up and secured his major record deal. Mm, mm, wicked world. Bad and things get quite interesting when you look closely at this newly established timeline. Because when David met Celeste in January, he was an unknown, off the radar, and he wasn't a famous artist. But by July, he had already written the song about deleting his girlfriend in the back of his mind, while clearly depicting via visuals that he was deleting her for real. Now, shortly after that, he shoots that music video featuring a clear Celeste lookalike who he ultimately ends up deleting at the end of the video. I mean, isn't that true? Okay. You're my daughter. You're underage. You're with this guy. This is his music. I want to know everything about dude, right? What parent wouldn't? And I see this video that clearly looks like imitating you, and this is what he's talking about doing. I'm not going to play with that. Okay, let's leave that there for now. Now, this was essentially the spark that started his career. But of course, you have to join the dark side. Mind you, all of this came out years before the alleged real world events took place. Wasn't that so many years, but it was years before. Plenty of time for her to be saved, right? Pray harder, why don't you? But this leads me to wonder if this outcome was planned from the very day they met. I believe it was. Hear me out. Furthermore, this dark, twisted theme extended far beyond a single track. Romantic Homicide acted as a starting point for David, and it went on to release several more songs and music videos that followed with the exact same disturbing pattern. Okay, my daughter's not running away again and going back over there. All right, this whole storyline in his interviews, my mom, they're Christian. We could only listen to classical and Bach. Okay, I too could only listen to classical music. I too grew up as a sheltered, rooted child in a cult with a father that just. Mm. Okay, I listened to classical music while I took piano lessons and played the piano, right? Did ballet and all that shit. I know about all that. So he's saying that these same parents, when he brought this type of music to them, was like, mm, mm, mm. Yeah, he was able to continue. I'm just thinking, could I have pulled that off? I've been scared too. Let's be real. The fear of my father was greater than the fear of God himself. So I wouldn't have. But if I really wanted to, I would. I just be like we did, praising, trying. Somehow they went with him and signed a record deal, knowing that this is that music he puts out. Okay. So Romantic Homicide was the starting point, right? He had the same music on the same disturbing path. Now this forbidden relationship and its eventual dark ending became the central narrative in his entire discography. I don't see him depicting it as a forbidden relationship. Where do you get that from in his music? But this is the narrative that the police are trying to call it as. He is not, to me, uh, uh, projecting it as a forbidden relationship. It's just a dark and gory relationship. And for some odd reason, he is deleting her and then mourning her right in front of everybody's face. It says nothing about really it being forbidden. It's just uh, tumultuous for some reason that he really doesn't disclose, right? I think all on his end because he could be his character and him in real life could be a narcissist. It's for what just because that's just he, some people are serial murderers. Some people just do the thing, and I just think that that was his thing, right? It appears that Celeste became the primary source of his dark creativity. Am I wrong? Who, as a fan, who, as knowing him, could not have seen that? Weird. It's as if David was obsessively documenting this dark, forbidding narrative about a child on top across multiple tracks and visuals. Now, for instance, look at the song Here With Me. Many fans originally saw this as another love song about growing old together. David don't make love songs. He said, I saw online that he'd been active in dark web forums for gore and snuff films for years. Listen, I'm going to mention it. He talked about that in an interview. I saw this early on in the case where he talked about that. None of this is a secret. Like some people do a good job of pretending, like they say some rappers, oh, they ain't really do that. Now we know nowadays quite differently, but they used to be like, oh, he ain't really no gangster. What 50 Cent, you say you a gangster, but he really was in that lifestyle. Anybody around him would have known that. His fans, maybe not, because they're gonna romanticize him or whatever, whatever. But people who are actually in his life, they know what they're dealing with, right? He has this context that people believe that it shifts when you realize that it was released during the same time he was allegedly involved with Celeste. That song is not about two people growing old together. Nothing about his music is about anybody growing old with anybody. It's all about one person leaving here and the other person staying, and how this person feels about all of this, right? So he says, and he actually is very fly. I'm not gonna call him a genius like gay or nothing like that. Let's not get beside ourselves. But he was very careful and strategic about how he curated his entire career and persona, and he indulged in that lifestyle completely. If you look at how isolated he was, that is never a good thing. I think that he, once being in public schools, being taken out, and then isolated even more, is more there that they're not saying. He didn't say, his parents aren't saying, as to why they would isolate him as much. He did talk about difficulty in school and, that not working out. People used to pick on him or whatever. It happens. But I believe they were trying to suppress something that they saw that was within him, and they felt like isolating him and then trying to turn him on to this intelligence side and all that was going to change what they probably actually should have addressed. It's just my theory on the matter. He released a song in September 2022 with the lyrics that read, I don't care how long it takes as long as I'm with you. Now, those lyrics were once vague, but now some of us know exactly what we believe he was referring to. And that is a whole deeper conversation um, that I'm kind of happy to see has been had amongst a couple of other platforms where they get deeper into how he plagiarized his character from another existing character in anime, and providing context of what could be believed of why an eye may be missing, this finger, that finger, and what he may have done with those parts. Okay, I'm just gonna stop there because 9 times out of 10, y'all ain't went that far down the rabbit hole. Okay, um, so those lyrics were once vague. We now believe we know what he's referring to in more depth, right? Now, this becomes especially clear when we look at the music video. Just like in Romantic Homicide, the actress used in this video seems to resemble Celeste. Again, boy, you got my daughter in this video, and you is not talking about doing nothing good with my daughter. She is not surviving in none of this, and you actually with her and around her, and she underage. All right. It could have, she's too young. It could have been kind of cute to her or whatever. I'm not sure. But I don't think she had the frontal lobe development to sense the actual danger that she really was in. But her parents did, his parents did. So you have his debut LP, EP, Petals to Thorns. Now, this is practically an entire album of tragic romantic songs. Tracks like Poetic Vulgarity and Sweet Well continue to play with these themes of a forbidden romance, mixed with a strange underlining of a sense of dread. Now, in several of his music videos, he portrays an alter ego named Matami. People say Matami means pain. I in Japanese. Okay, me having a Japanese grandfather. Um, can you show me where you found that at? Cause I'm gonna say no. But Hindi, yeah, I'm with that. All right, Akasha, my name is Hindi. I understand. Matami in Hindi. All right, you can spell it Matamie. All right, as a noun in English, it means funeral. It means in Hindi mournful or in a state of mourning, grief, sorrow, sad, doleful, penitential, distressful. These are actual definitions in Hindi of the word Matami. Now, to me, that makes sense when you look at his debut album. As a verb, it means to go into mourning. With this Withered album, did he not go into mourning? He calls Matami his evil twin, telling us that that is his alter ego, right? A character that was sorrow, sad, and distressed, in mourning, penitential. David wanted to get caught and go to jail, in my opinion, right? Even more disturbing is the reoccurring imagery of the female lead in his visuals. Again, I'm not trying to sit around and give you the opportunity to want to try this out in real life on my daughter, bro. No, okay? I'm gonna be in mourning of you before that happens. Sorry. Where this is in the Romantic Homicide video or his other cinematic project, he consistently casts actresses who share a striking resemblance to Celeste. In these stories, the relationship almost always reaches a violent or tragic conclusion, usually with David's character standing as the last one remaining. Me having only watched his music videos and shit and looked at the lyrics, Tadai, I'm like, what? This was clear from the reading. By the time he released his debut album, Withered, the titles themselves, like Unrequited and Leave Me Alone, seemed to be screaming the subject of a relationship that was spiraling towards this deep end. When you stack these videos side by side, it becomes very difficult to view them as a mere creative fiction. Instead, they look like a multi year rehearsal for the end. The very reality the prosecutors are now describing actually took place in court. We have a dismembered young lady left in the trunk of his car. All of these components together seem to paint a very clear and disturbing picture. No, I did not. I just watched this stuff today. I just looked at his stuff today. Now, his entire music career is based on this forbidden relationship. And he told us exactly how it ends from the very beginning. There is no mistaking it at all. I have not heard one time in court them mention his music. This should be the center of this trial, hands down. Now, the authorities are telling us the reason that he allegedly did it was for the survival of his music career. Listen, if you get into serial killers or any killers, you study them. Listen, it's with something creative like this. Okay, me having a creative mind as well. It's that's too simple. Okay, they claim it was to keep her from exposing him to the public. He exposed it to the public. His whole discography is him and Celeste. She was seen with him. They chatted with the fans, and he showed up here, showed up there, and she was around his friends. Uh, They claim it was to keep her from exposing him to the public, but the prosecutor states that Celeste threatened to disclose damaging information about his relationship with her to end his career. After they had this disagreement, they said was via text. David was getting ready to drop his new album. She threatened to expose him, so just days before his album Withered was released, he allegedly silenced her. Now, I don't disagree that this discussion did not take place. This argument did take place. But I don't think it was simply about her relationship. That's something that would have been discovered anyway. Just like people later on said, well, Elvis got with Priscilla when she was 14. At this point, nobody cared. They wouldn't care back then, mind you, because that's it was happening a lot back then. But people still love Elvis the same. In fact, a lot of them, right? Boy, we can do this all day with these people and things that we've eventually found out, but it doesn't take away from the fans already the work that they've established. People was bound to find out who did not already know that he was with Celeste and that she was underage. That was inevitable. He made it clear he was with her. He made it clear his songs were about her. Now, the argument, the threats may have actually happened, but I think it was something much deeper than that that she was talking about. Because again, she's around him, she knows about the shit he be doing. However, hours, his entire discography, including the name of this album, seems to point a different reality entirely. Something more dark and sinister. Now, David clearly didn't mind the world knowing he was in a relationship with Celeste. No, he already told us this himself. He even has a song with her name in the title. So for you to sit up there and be like, oh, she was going to expose their relationship, excuse you. Jeez, but we're all dumb. We ain't all dumbed down yet. You know, you need more chemicals, you need more fake food, you need just keep trying harder. All right. The answers are all right there and open. All right. So when a person dies, right, their body withers away. All right. Now David had already chosen to call his album Withered well before he allegedly deleted the line. This was all carefully planned and plotted from the beginning, in my opinion. He, in fact, in my opinion, planned it out from the beginning to end. And its ending is so far exactly how he planned it. That's when people say, "Oh, he looks so unbothered in court." He looked like he right where he want to be. It's not supposed to sound reasonable or make sense to us, or we all be the same, right? We be doing the same thing. No, but if you follow or try to follow his mindset and his concept, then yeah, it makes sense, right? Makes sense. Um, he had this plan. His tour was planned around this passing of her. And he had a death and casket theme in his tour. I didn't know that until today. I did not. I just didn't get into his career, his music side of him like that. I did not know that until today. This means that he had already planned on deleting, even though they're calling it silencing her, way before the alleged crime took place. It reflects the theme in all of his music videos and songs. Since day one, he was showing us exactly how this relationship would end. Am I telling a lie? No, no. He told her family, everybody, the world, yet they didn't do much. And I don't care who said, the family said what, I ain't heard him say nothing. I don't think David did this to stop her from exposing their relationship. That makes no sense considering all the rest of his context in his music. He was planning on doing this since day one. Day one. He became this dark person in his state of life and isolation, and not having no friends and no outlets, and being pushed to do certain things. I know he said, "Oh, my mom put me in this. I quit. She put me in that. She made me play piano. I quit. This, that, and the third." But he didn't say anything about how she socialized him either. He was planning on doing this since day one. Since romantic homicide, he has been telling us that this was his plan. He showed us how. He found the girl. He had this forbidden relationship with her. He deleted her, all within the world of his music. Even when people were saying, "Oh, he's on tour. Oh, we found his body. Oh, who did it? Did he do it? We don't think he did it. Um, somebody tried to set him up. What's going on?" This dude is on tour the whole time, showing y'all his funeral and him with Tommy in mourning. Think about it. His alleged real life actions seem to match this storyline perfectly. He created a fictional character, a storyline in his music that reflected exactly on what he was planning on doing in real life already. While the press protect his career, I believe he did it to fuel his career. And then my daddy's about to die. He's 16, he's young, he's not 80 yet, tonight is going to die. Let me turn on the AC for that. Yeah, he did it to fuel his legacy. How he wanted to be known. I mean, I hope they get the motives right and use his music career to paint the proper narrative. Think about it. She was a source of the songs that was his greatest hit. They all seem to clearly be about her. The visuals in all of his videos depict either him being with her or him envying her. His last album is literally titled Withered, and they found her withered, decomposing withered. This is an album that was released just days after she was gone and months before her withering body was eventually found, not abandoned, found, discovered. This brings us to one of the most baffling details of this entire case. Now, for months, many people wonder how someone would be stupid enough to leave the ultimate evidence in their vehicle registered in their own name. How was that an accident? When you look at this through the lens of his art, this appears to be a deliberate part of his final act. There's no way he carefully curated this entire narrative throughout his music career and so specifically dismembered her body, only to skip the part that would be the most vital to him standing the best chances of getting away with it, which is getting rid of the mermaids. Ayanna Sawyer, her uncle, uh, was messing with her and got her pregnant. His wife, for some reason, didn't want to believe it, but his brother testified in court that he confessed to him. They didn't know what happened to her. He worked at a car pick apart like type place, and he did just like the case with Nazaya. Told her, "Hey, we gonna run away together." I think she was like 16, and he was married to her aunt, and had her in his car out there at the yard. The car is at. Said he tried to choke her out. He really couldn't go through with it, and then he, got her in the heart with his pop out. Wrapped her body in carpet, put her in the stomp, and he knew that they were going to get rid of that the next day. I think they crush it and then send it off or whatever. They didn't find her body parts. There's things he could have done. I mean, you already dismembered her. To leave them in the trunk of the car, excuse me, let's stop. Let's not do this. Let's not. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. He knew he would be eventually caught, and he made that a part of his dark, twisted show. In my opinion, the evidence strongly suggests that he actively wanted the discovery to happen exactly the way it did. By leaving her right there inside of his own trunk, he guaranteed that his name and hers would be permanently linked in the public eye forever. He sang about this exact scenario. He heavily documented the dark conclusion of their forbidden relationship and his music. Y'all followed it, praised it, coveted his music. His parents, her parents, absolutely knew. His entire catalog was about his relationship with Celeste. And it was a clear sign that she was in danger, but no one did anything ultimately. He was writing the script for his own inevitable downfall, and everyone screamed the lyrics along with him. I seen and shit. I'm like, but listen at what y'all saying. At the end of the day, I would want to start to question, bro, why all your songs like this? It's not cool anymore. I can see you bad a little bit one time. You want to put that out, okay? But this is all your shit. Oh, you want this for real? A person looking to simply protect their career and walk away completely free would have hidden the evidence as far away from them as possible, leaving everything so close to home endures that his fans, the media, and authorities will all eventually piece together the very story he spent years laying out in his music. And I'm sure he wants y'all to get it right. All right? See him as this creative genius or whatever. Like, I know he's sitting there like, expose our relationship. That's all I talked about was our relationship. And showing you a chick that looked just like her. Hell, he might as well have her in the video. He essentially turned this real life tragedy into his ultimate promotional piece for his darkest edit. The discovery of the abandoned vehicle serves as the final scene he had already directed in his mind. Bro, he kept showing scenes of a person being placed in a trunk in his videos. You gotta be kidding. And people actually question why he would leave her parts in there. Like that's just no coincidence. Not when you put everything together. He wanted the world to find her, and he wanted everyone to realize that the Matami persona was a literal reflection of his true self. The whole theme of his tour, his album with it. He was proving to his audience that the pain and dark themes in his music was entirely real, and this would guarantee that his legacy would be permanently cemented into the exact twisted narrative that he created from the very beginning. And when you look at the timeline, his actions followed the alleged events. The theory that this was a deeply calculated performance piece becomes more apparent after Celeste was deleted, of course. Hmm. He leaned entirely into his dark aesthetic and remaining right in the public eye. As someone in pain, someone in mourning, like Masana. He embarked on a massive tour, promoted the Vivid album, performed night after night as his dark alter ego Masana. Remember that this translates in Hindu as someone going into mourning. Forget all that pain. No, going into mourning. Look at the scene. Listen to how he described his character in his interviews. He stood on stage. He sang the exact songs fueled by their forbidden relationship. fully aware of the dark reality of what had happened just months prior. This level of performance requires a massive amount of deliberate planning. Recall how he once described in an interview how he would have to intentionally disengage from all his dark indulgences in order to try and gain some sense of normalcy, empathy. Y'all don't remember him talking about that? He made it very clear that he was indeed deep into the dark. That he don't really feel. Mm-mm. It can't relate to that hurts you, you're sad, you're in pain. Uh-uh. He can't have compassion for people. To where it's so deep to where he himself expressed his own concern for that and how he would try to pull out of that lifestyle, pull out of his indulgences and try and get into something, I don't know, flowers and roses, something that just kind of would hopefully help him have some kind of humanness and empathy. And I believe he was always unsuccessful in those attempts. He, instead of building an entire international tour around the concept of a tragic ending that tells a complete different story than a simple unplanned moment of panic based off of a relationship ending argument. I'm gonna tell on you. What you gonna tell that he didn't tell himself? Not the relationship. I'm sure she knew other things. This recent release court documents allege that he went to extreme lengths to hide their truth. How can they say that? How could they say that when he was creatively broadcasting his dark storyline to millions of devoted? I can't believe how popular this dude was. I never heard of him until this. How many fans he has? I absolutely believe it's a ritual. I said that before in earlier videos. I believe that um, all of this is his ritual. Is it in servants to some demon or entity or whatever? Why not? But I do believe that this is his ritual that he carefully planned and thought out from the beginning. Not no simple narrative that, oh, because he was seeing this other girl here, this other girl there. Now, y'all, I have to keep mentioning this because I think it's important. This detective that was and is still investigating this case that you can clearly see online, many interviews, hired by the people who rented that house because they want to know what it was, what was going on. They live there. Um, here's the thing that they're saying that into like a relationship and what they didn't get it even though I hear it now being a part of the narrative allegedly